Now let me tell you about a horror that I once woke up to. It had met an untimely demise. So what was I to do? Thankfully, it was an easy fix to get my computer working again, but it made me realise something. When my computer isn't able to turn on, my data's a lot harder to get at. And so... NAS come in three main types, that is, from New York, Lil, and attached to your network. Now since the first two aren't computers, we'll be looking at the third one, which is network attached storage. A NAS is essentially just a computer on your network that purely exists to store files. This is helpful and often more useful than just external hard drives or storing everything on your computer, because the multiple disks that you put inside the computer, inside the NAS, can be set up in what's called a RAID array, which means that the disks will have redundancy. Which means that one of the hard drives inside the computer can stop working completely and data is not lost. So for power supply I had a random, and for CPU I used an i5-4590T. For motherboard I used an ASRock, and for my RAM I used two mismatched sticks of 1600 MHz DDR3, neither of which are ECC. And if you have a problem with that, give me money. And then for storage, I'll be using this SSD for the boot drive. I'll be using this laptop hard drive for drive 1. I'll be using this old hard drive that I pulled out of something else for drive 2. And I'll be using this hard drive, however it actually died during the course of making this video, so f*** you. So instead we'll be using another 2.5-inch HDD that I stole out of another laptop. It went alright, I guess. I nearly put my finger in the socket, and I also decided to put the RAM in really strangely. I'm normally able to put RAM in. I also didn't do a very good job at filming what I was doing, but it doesn't matter because the motherboard's now installed. Also, the electrical tape is there because I had to do some cutting to the case and I didn't want jagged metal bits sticking anywhere. And after that I put in the power. I installed the power cables and the SATA cables. I then installed the hard drives and the SSD.
Circle.
The square hole.
And all that was left to do was to put in my TrueNAS Core USB installer and start the computer. And so after the incredibly successful build, it was time to install TrueNAS. And now we're done with this computer, we can run it headless. Headless, of course, meaning only plugged into power and Ethernet, because everything else that needs to be done can now be done on another computer on my network. So anyway, I actually lost the footage of me setting TrueNAS up, which is quite annoying, but instead I can show you what I did. One thing, I feel like the CPU's a little bit hot. And see, 16GB all working. Didn't crash. Owen, that's me. User, Owen, connect into it. And then you can see, look, this is the pool and then my datasets. And I'm connected to that and that's good. It seems to work, I can transfer files to it. Here's some footage from earlier of me getting gigabit speeds. And if you think that there's any specific problems or you really hate what I've done, I think you should leave as many comments as possible because that would be very helpful.